Hi, everyone. I wanted to talk about biracial identity and how biracial identity differs from black and white identity. Black and white is its own separate race, and biracial is its own separate race. It's not black, it's not white, but it's a combination of the two. And I wanted to clarify that because what I've noticed, especially with biracial and mixed content creators, when we start to talk about embracing being biracial, not really taking on one or the other when it comes to our race or when it comes to the culture, not trying to be black, not trying to be white, we're literally trying to embrace both. We get opposition from both sides, and that's to be expected. And even with some other mixed and biracial people, they might have different opinions too, because we're not a monolith. So some of us may have grown up in more black culture or white culture, and they never really had any issues being biracial, or people didn't really give them issues with that. Some of us grew up with both parents in the home, like I did, and were raised to say you're biracial, and that was its own separate thing. It wasn't black or white, but it was a combination. And some of us didn't have that. So it really just depends. But I wanted to bring it up because what I find interesting is that whenever a random white person likes to comment or shares anything pertaining to race, specifically with black, getting in black spaces or getting in mixed and biracial spaces that are mixed with black, there's also some black people that like to highlight this white person and say that they've humbled us or they gave us a wake-up call, your white side doesn't accept you, whatever the case might be. And I think that that's interesting because, first of all, at least for me, no white person has ever humbled me on this channel, and they never will. And they definitely didn't give me a wake-up call because I know who I am. But the real question is, why are some black people co-signing to white people about what they say about mixed race people? So if a white person is saying, you're not white, or you'll never be us because you're not full white, or whatever, we'll never accept you, whatever they could say, why would any black person find vindication in that? That's my first question. And then, of course, I understand there's the argument that some mixed people can use their privilege of not being fully black to move into the spaces of white people. And again, we're not a monolith. We don't all do that, just like not all black people do what I was just saying about vindicated and saying, oh, they humbled you. But at the end of the day, it is this race war that goes on where I see a pattern all the way back from slavery where the racist white person would get black people to be against each other and people of color to be against each other. That's why even people that aren't black, but they're not white, have issues with each other as well, because that has always been the racist white man's agenda. In my specific comment section, there was a person that said something on my channel saying, you're not white. I never said that I was. I said that I was both. I'm mixed. That was just weird. That's some random white guy that has his own channel that doesn't talk about race. I don't even know what his channel talks about, but it's nothing to do with the space over here. So I do find it interesting when random white men come to my channel and say something like that. When random black people jump on that, I just find that interesting. I wanted to clarify that, again, biracial people have their own separate race. We are literally a combination of both. So no, we'll never be white, we'll never be black because we're both. So we have our own thing. Just like a black person will never be mixed and a white person will never be mixed because they're black or they're white. But we happen to be both, and that's a different experience. It kind of reminds me of the video I did a couple of months back with Markle on the cover, and it was the vindication of mixed and biracial people when they're humbled by white people or something along those lines. I can't actually remember exactly how I titled it, but that's the one. And I'll talk about Markle for a second because she comes to mind every time I think about vindication when white people are humbling or white people are showing their racism towards Megan or treating her like every other black person. It's not, even with that going on, it's still not the same experience as a full black person. Because when you're around racist white people, no matter who you are or how white you look, if they know that you're not full white, they will not treat you as full white. So you can't really compare the experience of a biracial or mixed person based off of a racist white person and what they say about you. Because for one, I don't care what a racist white person or anyone has to say about me. They're not going to tell me who I am. But second of all, because Meghan Markle didn't say she's a black woman, because she said she is a biracial or mixed woman, she didn't deny her blackness. She just lived her life as a mixed race person, and she might have had more privileges because she's lighter skinned, but that's it. And that's really the essence of it. I don't think that I know of, she didn't do anything harmful to the black community. She just was existing as a biracial woman growing up in California. And she married into a family that they happen to be racist, a lot of them. And they showed that racism, and now everyone hates her. But what was crazy is that all these black people jumped on the backs of these racist white people, kind of vindicated that she was getting a taste of, I guess, her own medicine. She had the privilege, and now she's being shown that she's just a black woman at the end of the day. I can see this where there are some biracial and mixed people that are absolutely crazy, just like with every race. Those ones that want to be white so bad and want the white person to accept them so bad, so they do things against black people or even racist towards black people in order to feel like they've got some type of privilege or upper hand of fully black people. So we're not talking about those people, just like we're not talking about racist white people. You know, we're not talking about the crazy people. We're talking about a normal situation. Biracial people have different advantages and disadvantages as well. We kind of have a mixture of both, and phenotype does come into play. Also, your culture, how you grew up, your parents, all of these different things. And I wanted to say that when a white person says anything on my channel that they're trying to tell me I'm not white, when I never said that I was white, I always said I was mixed. And then a black person says they gave you a wake-up call or they humbled you, it goes to show how messed up the black community is when it comes to this proximity to whiteness. Because it's almost like this jealousy of you are closer to white and you think that you're better than me because you're lighter than me or you're more white than me, whatever. And then now the white man is telling you you're not white, so haha, you're down here with me. And that's what I see. That's what it looks like. Rather, that was the intention or not with the comments, it doesn't matter. And that's why I'm reiterating. Biracial is its own race. We are not white. We are not black. We are both. So white people telling me I'm not white, black people telling me I'm not black, or white people telling me I am white and black people telling me I'm black. It doesn't matter because I'm not either one of those. I'm both. I'm not just black. I'm not just white. Other biracial people, they might have a different outlook on that. I don't know. But on my channel, that's what I talk about. That's what I fight for, to have our own identities. We're not trying to be better than anybody. We're not trying to be worse than anybody. We're just literally trying to exist in the same world that everybody else is trying to exist in. We have people arguing over our race still in almost 2025. We still have white and black people trying to tell us what we are or what we're not. It doesn't matter what you think because we are who we are. And then to bring science into it, even if somebody was doing a biological makeup of us, they could see that we have mixed features. And then even if you do an AI generator where they look at features, it tells you that you're mixed race. Because I've actually done this because it's really interesting. I took a picture of myself and asked an AI generator what race is this person or what ethnicity, and they literally said it's a mixture of Caucasian or European and African features. So even if an AI generator who has no feelings can say that that's what I am, then that's what I am. I'm mixed. I have both features. Most biracial and mixed people have both features. Oh, and I wanted to talk about dominant versus recessive genes because that's something that keeps coming up too. And just with basic science, I mean, we obviously know that recessive and dominant genes play a role with our biology, but it doesn't erase the other. It just means that the characteristics that you might have are going to come more from the dominant. So if you have a parent that has black hair, brown eyes, and the other parent has blonde hair and blue eyes, then the child is going to have a combination of those two. But the dominant gene is obviously going to be the darker hair and the darker eyes, darker skin, but they're not going to be the same skin color for the most part as the parent who happens to be darker. And they're also not going to be pale white, but then sometimes the recessive gene does pull through. But it's a combination of the two. That's why most biracial people look like they're right in the middle there. They might look more black, quote unquote, because they're not white, as in blonde hair and blue eyes or just light skin, but they might just be in the middle. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't take away the recessive gene. It's still just as much in you. And if someone was studying your biology, your makeup, they would see both DNA traits of European and African descent. So that means that they're both in there equally. It's just that one's more dominant. So that's what you're going to see. Just like a darker color in general is going to overpower a lighter color. So if you take crayons and you take a black crayon and like a peach crayon or something like that, it's going to be darker. It's not going to be peach. It's going to be darker, but it's not going to be black either. So that's what I mean. We're both. We're mixed. Wanted to say that. Thank you all for listening. Until next time.